my friends, I am back. I am back with part 2 of this beautiful Bellflower vintage lace stitch. Now, I wanted to just bring you this stitch because I'm sure you've seen it in lots of magazines, but I remember it from years ago. And of course I wasn't doing charts and all that then. We just had the written word, but after I decided to try it again, I wanted to make sure that I gave you a nice clean chart to work from, and so that you can give it a try also. And I've already heard from several of my viewers who already not only have enjoyed it, but they finished it, even took pictures. So you know who you are. All right, so let's just, real quick tonight, I want to stay on point and just get right to it because the little purse is not hard. You have finished the hard part. Now you can relax. The hard part was to work this beautiful, beautiful lace swatch from the chart. And you see how to pretty stitch. So let me just kind of show you real quick with the purse. Just kind of give you an idea. It's just a simple little summer lace bag. And as you can see, the swatch I put right in the center. So tonight all we have to do is close up and make a circle of the swatch for a bag and sew it up, and then pick up stitches for the bottom, pick up stitches for the top, and add some handles. How easy is that? And I just used bamboo because I didn't want anything to weigh my bag down or to mess up my bag. And we would do a simple little sack. I just do simple lining, but if you're a good sewer, you can do anything you want. But I've just made a simple little sack-like lining to fit my purse. I got some little ends I've got to finish up. And I just squared off the bottom. And all this is hand sewing. What I'm going to show you is just, you can, if you don't feel like taking out the sewing machine, you can hand sew it. That's how easy it is once we knit all the parts. So what do you think of that? So I hope that you, like I said, I've had people already who are all excited, and I hope that many more of you will give this a try. It is just a quick way to make a purse, and I have some at the end to show you some other versions. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is, all right, I'm going to move the purse. We need to finish up the swatch. I had you to stop at row 16, which was the wrong side, and you'd purl back. And I said stop and wait for me there. All right, so now let me tell you what needles you will, or a needle that you will need, and we will get started. Back in just a moment. All right, so now this is where you should have finished row on the chart. Row 16, after we finish the last pattern row, you had to just purl back. All right, now once that puts us on the right side. So all I want you to do now, while we're talking and while I share a little FYI information, take your swatch. If you're making the purse, if you're making a scarf, you can just continue to work this as long as you want, okay? But after you've purled back row 16, you're on the right side. So we're going to close up all of these little yarn over holes. You see all the yarn over eyelet lace holes? All right, so what we need to do on a right side row is simply knit all the stitches. Here's your border, and then you just get rid of the marker and just knit across. And I forgot to take that one off, but get rid of your markers and knit all the way to the end. All right? Then, when you turn the work, of course, you're on the wrong side of the work, so I need you to purl back. How about that? Just nice and easy, so that we can close off and make this little edge nice and smooth so that we can sew. So, all right, so now I'm on the wrong side, so I knit the border. You can stay in your pattern. Really, you don't have to. You can just purl back all the stitches because we're getting ready to sew and it really won't matter. So once you do that, you can either stay with the border or just simply purl all the stitches across. Once you do that, so we've done one knit row, one purl row. Now we're going to knit one more row. I'm on the right side. Can you see how it closes off all those yarn overs? See there's a little room there between where the yarn over holes, which we don't want to have any kind of problems with these eyelets. And there's a little room right there. Not even a fingernail worth of room. But so now, one last time, on the right side, you knit across all the stitches again. Are you with me? Now, when you turn the second time to the wrong side, we're going to bind off all the stitches now. And we're going to do it on this wrong side row, which is fine. We could have done it on the previous one. It didn't really matter. I'm just so used to doing that, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the knit stitch. And I'll just do a little bit. You know, you don't have to worry about a border or anything. You just knit 2 stitches, reach back, pull that stitch over, and bind off. Now you're going to knit the next stitch, reach back, and bind off. And you're going to just continue to cross the whole row. I can get rid of your markers and all of that. I could have done that some time ago, but let's see what we have, just so you can see what we're doing. And you can do this while I'm just sharing with you some more, a little more information on the needles that you'll use. All right, so you see I'm just binding off. Stop every couple of inches and just kind of stretch it back into shape. I'll pull it up. So on this right side, you see, it leaves me a little room. All I'm trying to do is create a little room right here so that I don't run into these big yarn over holes when I'm trying to sew. See, now I have a little bit hint of an edge. Can you see it? I have a little hint of an edge right there so that I can sew. So continue to bind off, and I'll come right back and tell you give you some more information. All right, so I have bound off. I was on the wrong side, and when you get to the last stitch, you have that loop. Then I want you to stop before you cut any yarn. Take it and pull off about, I don't know, about 2 feet of yarn, you know, about 24 inches or something like that, maybe a little more. And go ahead, and then you can put your yarn needle in there. And, well, go ahead and pull it through the loop, and then you can put your yarn needle on. We're going to sew up, and I just wanted you to have a tail so that you didn't have to stop and cut more yarn. All right, so now I've bound off. I pull the yarn through the last stitch, and I have my yarn needle in place. You can just stick that in there so you don't lose it if you want to. Now I simply want you to take this to your ironing board, or if you have a steamer, turn this lace on this swatch on the wrong side. And I want you to don't have the iron too hot. I don't want you to steam it. I want you to be very light with the steam. We just want to open up the lace so we can make a nice circle, so we can connect in the round, because we have to knit the rest of the bag in the round. So I've got it on the wrong side, which I always do when I want to steam. Shh. And I'm just taking my hands and opening up the lace this direction. You see that? I'm just opening up the lace. Doesn't have to be much. Just do it lightly. Shh. Get down here and just the bottom. Just kind of open that up a little bit. And you can come back up here. Shh. Do it lightly, but don't try to overstretch. We're not trying to stretch. We just want to open it up. All right. Now once you do that, then we're going to take our little swatch. And let me say this, those that are doing the scarf, you will end your bag just like I did here. You will just follow the same instructions and bind off on the wrong side and end your bag. And we can put fringe or anything else to kind of pretty up the edges if you need to. Or if you just did a regular, where I suggest to just knit every row, garter stitch, then it ends really pretty and you don't have to worry. Alright, so now I'm going to take my bag, my little lace center of the bag, and all I'm going to do, since I saved the yarn, I've got the needle. Make sure that right sides are facing each other. Find your needle and your yarn. Right sides are facing. See, I'm just bringing it bring the two edges together just to make sure that I can just do a nice little simple seam. And we're not going to do the sweater seam where we do it on the front and do, you know, try to real special. No, what I want to do is to do like a real sewing seam with just my regular yarn needle and of course the same yarn. And I'm going to come in here, start on the edge, pull it through, make sure those edges are nice and neat and together. There's the top where the two seams come together. See? Right sides are facing. Alright, now I want to just, instead of a whip, because I don't want this seam to show up, what I want you to do is, you know how you do a running seam? Say if you were just making just something real simple and you were doing a running seam where you just go up and down, that's what I want. But a little small, just take a little small right in that area, right below this little bumpy area, this little thick area. That's why we had the extra, we made those extra rows and closed off all those yarn over so I wouldn't go into those big old yarn over holes. So now, here you go. Just go in and go up and down. Like if you were just sewing a pillowcase. A real sewing seam, not our regular knit seam. Take your fingers, open it up a little bit so you can always kind of make it fit. Just try to make it fit so that one side's not going to be wider than the other. Then go back in, up and down, up and down. But make sure they're short, little small stitches, not long like a basting stitch. And let's see here. All right, every once in a while I'm just going to open it up so I can see where I am, and then up, go in, up and down, up and down, just a few stitches at a time. Pull your yarn, stretch it out, see how if it's fitting. If you're going to kind of, if one side's a little longer, then just kind of match up the two ends and just kind of make the center part here by stretching it like this. Just make it fit. Okay, then go back, and I'm still going up and down, up and down. Maybe 3 or 4 ups and downs, and then I'm back, up and down. This is a purse, this is not a sweater. So we need this seam, you'll see. And then I get to the end, up and down. Take your time, take a little small, till I get all the way to the end. Sorry if my hand's in the way, but then once you get to the end, kind of stretch it out a little bit. Now on this end, I simply want you to kind of take your yarn and just kind of go, just want to make sure you seal it off. Go through 2 or 3 times to seal that edge off, just like when we started. Maybe one more. How about one more? Okay, now I can turn, and then I can do some type of little running stitch or anything and just bury this yarn. Just bury it into that little top edge of the bag that's not going to be seen because we've gone up and down, up and down. Okay. So you just just bury it in some of the stitches, just like this, right at the edge is fine. And then sometimes I go back and double up under it so it won't come loose. Take 2 or 3. And then I'm going to, just save time, I'll go ahead and cut that. This was the tail from the other side. Now when I turn the work, now when I turn the center of the bag, voila, we have this nice pretty seam. And one end, look like I kind of missed some stitches here, but I'll go back and before we pick up stitches, I'll close that up. I don't think I closed that good at the top when I started. But that's what you should have. Can you see it? I brought the two lace ends together, but I wanted a seam there. Alright, do that. Take your time. Make sure, like I said, I didn't catch this beginning edge. Oh, you know what? Oh, look, I got this tail. Why don't I just take this tail? I'll just do that. Show you how you. So here's the tail. So I'll just take it, because I have to weave it in anyway. So I'll come up here, and if you see that you maybe didn't seal yours, let me try, make sure it's on the wrong side, like that. That's where I stopped. Now this is where I started. I should have gone through, this is what I forgot, I guess I was talking. Okay, I should have gone through 1, 2, maybe even 3 times before I started my stitching. Now I'm going to go across. Yeah, that's what I didn't do. That's where I started, but I didn't go up or down and catch that little edge. Now I'll keep going up and down, just like I was doing when I had the first yarn, and then I'll sew all of that in too. But now let's turn it back to the right side. Oh yes. Okay, there are my 2 edges right there, and there's my pretty seam. And then the bad part, this little big edge, all of that's on the inside, but we don't care, because you're going to get a lining, and that will all be covered up. So that's how it looks on the inside. This is how it looks on the outside. Now let me tell you what you'll need when we come back. We are going to be knitting in the round, so we need a small circumference cable needle. So look and see what you have. I have designated needles that I use for, like, cowls that are, that goes around your neck, or bags, and I use my 9/24 inch. I just like that size, and usually I can make, it's big, it's large enough that it's not too much for the 24 inch. But if you don't have that, you can always use a 16 inch, but it will be a lot of, stitches on this little needle. So either 9/24, you could try a 9/29, because a lot of people have those. I have a lot of those. If you, we're going to stretch it out, but we just want to be able to make, connect in the round. So if you have a 24 or something like that, I don't know if it comes with 20, but some of you that have the interchangeable cables, you have a lot of nice sizes. But this is the one I normally save, and I even write on there. So I have dedicated needles. I have needles just for hats, needles just for cows, needles just for purses, needles just for sweaters. So I know that what I'm always using, I use all the time. All right, do that much, and I will come back and have you some yarn, and if you can find a needle, and we're going to get ready to pick up stitches. This will be so fast and easy. All right, back in just a moment. All right, now we are ready to, we have connected our lace and made a circle. So now we are ready to start picking up stitches and of course knitting the round. All right, look around and see if you have some needles that will fit. On the original purse I had 8 repeats, and you try to pick a number for this purse or your stitches, whatever, to fit a needle. So I have a 9/29. I have a number 9, and it's 29 inches long, and that seems to work good. So naturally, if I'm going to make purses, I want to use this needle, and I'm going to try to make sure that I can connect in a circle with this needle. So I just lay it out. There we go. Now, that's for the original purse. I had 8 repeats, or you have 8 repeats. Now for our sample, let me just move this one over a little bit. for my sample, because I was running out of yarn and I don't need to keep repeating the same purse. I don't want the same purse. Alright, so I looked in my stash and I have a 9, number 9, and I found one of my ChiaoGoos and it's only 24. So that works good. So you just find something that you can use that's not too long, unless you like to do the magic loop where you pull the loop up. But I prefer to have a needle that I don't have to worry with that. So here I go. Now we are getting ready to knit in the round, and as you can see, first thing I want to do is pick up my work and look at the flower and see which way the flower is facing, if it's up or down, or turn it. So I like this position better. You can see the top of the flower is here and the flower is kind of hanging down. So I'm going to call this side, see, look at the flower to get an idea of how you want your bag. I'm going to call this flower the bottom, and that's where I want to start. So that would make this side the top. I'm just sticking this in here just so that I can have, so I don't have to. So now I know that this will be the bottom of the purse, because I want the way I want my flowers to drape in the center of the bag. Bottom, top. Now I'm going to use my 924 to pick up stitches. So if you didn't have a 924, you could, for this little small, if you were making a smaller size, not the larger size, but the smaller size, I could even probably squeeze in the stitches on a 9/16 in length, if that was all I had. And I didn't want to run out and buy another needle. I try to use what you have. Once you have these needles, I use them over and over. In fact, I designate them. My 924 is a designated needle for cowls that go around my neck, or, you know, these small purses. Alright, so now what I need to do, I've already made sure that if I leave and come back, I can't remember what I did. I marked the top of the purse, that was the top, so I want to go to the back seam, or the side seam, right here. Okay, now this is the bottom of the purse. I want to do the bottom of the purse first. So let's just go back over real quick how to pick up a few stitches, and then I'm going to switch to a sample that I have worked ahead. Alright, here's the seam, so get as close to the seam on that side as possible. Let me check and see if I need to come in. For this little section we've picked up before, but I definitely want you to see it. So I take my needle, I put it close to the seam as possible on this side because I'm going to pick up. I take my yarn, I simply leave a tail and just loop it over the needle. You don't have to tie or anything. Grab those two and just bring the loop through. Just, oops, I slipped out, so let me do it again. Put the loop on and then bring that loop through. Now, when I pick up, when I have a garter area to pick up from, I don't go into the little bump. I go in between the bumps where there's a little, there's a space, and you can go up under 2 strands just like that. And then the first time, grab both yarns, go around the needle and pull up the loop. Alright, now just drop the tail after maybe one pass. Now we can go really get going around up under 2 strands into the next space, not the little bump, pull up a loop into the next space, right there, yarn over, pull up a loop into the next space. Makes it nice and neat, and it always comes out pretty. It always comes out neat and pretty, and I'm not forcing anything and trying to, whatever it comes out to be, that's what, hey, it is what it is. It's a purse. Okay, so you go around, you pick up, just like this. Stop every once in a while, make sure, and look at what you have, make sure you don't have a gap, maybe you missed something. Alright, I will see you as I get back around to this seam. Continue around, you're just picking up stitches, and I'm using my, still my number 9, but a circular needle. Either a 929 or a 924, depending on how many repeats you did. Alright, back in just a moment. All right, I'm picking up my stitches. I'm coming around to where I started, to my side seam, and I'll adjust my stitches as I go ahead and finish picking up. All right, so now I'm up to, and I've checked, I've looked back, make sure I didn't leave any gaps before we get started. That you went in between each little bump and on this garter ridge edge, and you picked up and go as close as, go all the way to this side seam. Make sure that there's no large gap right there between where we started and where we're in. And if you need to pick up something else or make up a stitch right there, right in the middle for any reason, just pick it up. It doesn't matter. You just don't want to have a gap at our seam. Then I will place a marker, because that's where I started. This is where I ended. So I put a marker. All right, so now all I'm going to do is just knit. I'm just going to take my time, and good television watching, because you're just knitting around. We've already picked up the stitches. We don't have to really count. You're just picking up, and this, I suggest that you work, like I said, on the bottom of the purse first, so you can get your little stitches picked up. And so I'm just going to do a few more, and then I'm going to switch to the original bag, and then we can talk. But I just want you to, and you'll stop and check every once in a while that you don't have any large gaps or that you missed any stitches. Does that make sense? That's where I started, right at the little seam. I put a marker, and it looks great. I'm just picking up stitches, and I'm knitting in the round. All right, now let me move over back to the original purse so I can talk you through. I'll just lay this to the side. I'll pull this over, and let me line it up with my camera, see if I need to move it over a little bit this way. Okay, so, and then move it up, because we're going to talk about the bottom. This is the bottom of the purse. Okay, for the bottom of the purse, here's where we picked up. See, I picked up. I didn't try to force anything, and when I go in between those spaces, look how nice and neat. There's no jog or bump or anything. It's just nice and smooth. For the bottom of the purse, everywhere, I'd like for you to knit in the round for 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches for the bottom of the purse. You just go round and round, and when you get to 2.5 inches, doesn't have to be just perfect, but just, try to make it to 2.5. You just make sure you just bind off. Of course, we're knitting in the round, so you bind off on the right side. You just bind off like you normally do. All right? And you'll have an open bottom purse. We hadn't sewn yet. We hadn't done any sewing. It'll just be open, and it'll be bound off at the end. Does that make sense? Now we go back up to the top of the purse. Just flip. Then you'll go back up to the top of the purse, back to the seam, because you've already done the bottom, 2.5 inches bound down, and you bind off. Go back up to the top. You do the exact same thing. Go to the start at the side seam, get as close as you can, and you do the same pickup with the same needle all the way around. This is my top. Okay, now for the top of the purse, it's a little more knitting up here, more moving. You're going to bind off at least 4 and maybe 4.5 inches. I'd say 4, but try to get to the 1/2 inch, because we want to make sure we have enough room for these handles. These handles are kind of, they're thick. They're bamboo. And I'm just going to do this little simple bamboo. I will show you another one if you don't want the bamboo, but at least 4.5 inches for the top, 2.5 inches for the bottom, 4.5 inches for the top, because then that way we can turn the top down just like you do a brim of a beanie, and then when we put the little lining in here, then this top folds down just a little over the lining and catches the lining and seals it in. Does that make sense? Can you see that? You see how it's just, I just folded over because I did 4.5. So that's where we are. Make sure I'm on camera here. And that's where that's how we go ahead and put the bag together before we get into sewing the bottom and putting your liner in. And then the last thing, of course, is to show you how I put my handle on. All right, work on that, and I will come back and we'll catch up. All right, so now I'm coming back just to save time. This is a bag that I would, when I used to share with church groups, you know, ladies, some of the senior ladies at church or something. All right, so this is a, you know, a prototype, a little that I can share with you. So when I left, we had knit 2.5 inches for the bottom, at least 4.5 inches for the top. Now we want to go ahead and sew up our bottom, but I wanted to show you this. This was, like I said, this is way years ago when I had started making these little bags, and this is like the bottom. When I close here, I tried to use a sweater, like when I close my sweaters. Well, you know, I was just making it up. So then I realized I really didn't like that closure. So this one, don't use the closure. Don't use this closure. All right, so what I did, once you have your tube, your bottom of the bag and the top of the bag, and of course we work on the wrong side. So now all you have to do is turn, and I'm going to re-sew this. Not going to take it loose, too much trouble, and it's just something that, make sure I get it on here. So I just want to go over again. So I've got my yarn needle, and I'm just using some contrasting thread so you'd see it. So I would be on the wrong side, and I'm at the bottom of the bag, and I'd put the two edges there together. Then I'd start here on a corner. You can leave a little tail, and now I'm going to stitch 2 or 3, at least 2, 3, maybe 4 times to make sure that that edge doesn't come loose. And then once I come up, then I'm going to go into the up and down, just a little running stitch, but with short 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 stitches. Keep the stitches short, not long like a basting stitch. Up and then back in, up, back, just like that. I just want to show you do a little bit and show you then we're going to go, and then we're going to talk about the lining of the bag. See, just up and down, just like I was sharing with you. So when I turn it on this side, instead of having the sweater seam or the ugly seam, I would have a much better seam where you see, like just like I shared with the first bag, with the original bag. And then later we'll talk about, you know, if you want to tap in the little points, we'll do that in just a minute. But I wanted to share with you on this one, as we get ready to go up to the top, and let's talk about the lining. So now you have a bottom with the right seam. Okay, now let me make sure I'm backed out and that I have enough room. Okay, so now we want to talk about cutting a lining. So I like to just have my bag already with the bottom sewn, so I'll know the exact measurements. Now for a liner on a summer bag, I like to keep it very light, but I forgot on my original bag, I forget about all these eyelets, openings, and choosing a fabric or something that you can line your bag with. So for instance, when we do other bags where there's not a lot of, or maybe there's more texture or cables or something else, I strictly like to just go to the store and get fabric back quarters. And I would always buy at least 2 in case I made a mistake or something or cut wrong. So you just get some fat quarters. And it doesn't really probably take but 1 fat quarter to make the lining of these simple bags. But I'm just showing you some. Okay? But with the lace, I wouldn't want all of this. And of course, this is not the right color. I'm just using some examples. I realized I didn't want the lace to shine through. So the next thing, let me just show you this. All right, I might hit the camera a minute. Let me just get my bag. Okay, so the next thing I suggest, I have a large selection of tulle or netting, and I have it in lots of pretty different textures. I've got all different kinds. This would be great for summer bags because it's light, but yet you can still have a lining, but it's light, and if it shows through all the lace, it just adds to it. It doesn't really take away like if I was going to use a fat quarter like I use in my bag. This is what happens when you have so much stuff and you don't realize or forget you have it. Tulle or netting, any of this would just be great, I think, for a summer bag, a lace, something where you have lace. So for instance, on my little sample bag here, if I had looked, or if I was going to come finish this little bag and just go ahead and save it for a gift or something, here's some. Now I didn't have any left. I had these little bags I made. But here's a beautiful piece. Now wouldn't that be pretty on the inside of this particular bag? See, when you put it in, you don't really see it. And then on the inside, it still looks pretty. Where on my original bag, you know, on, what do you call it, fat quarters, when I did the lining, it's pretty and silky on the inside. But you also have that white, just plain white, kind of showing through. So if I had to do this, and when I do this bag again, I will take time and look underneath and get some of my netting or find some more that I like to match. And then this would go inside the bag as the liner. Does that help? All right, now let's get ready to talk about the, so the lining is a very simple sack. I don't do anything really, I've done it on another video, or you can find someone else on another podcast, but I simply just take and cut out a piece of fabric. You know, I fold it with the fold line here. It's on my other video. I can link that. I put the fold line at the bottom. So I have 2 pieces of, I'm going to go ahead and use my netting. Okay, I fold, and then I just simply cut around, stop, don't cut the fold line, and cut up and across. And then that is my little bag. It'll be a bag that I'll put in a bag, and I simply sew each side. And then with netting or tulle or something, I might, you know, put 2 seams just to make it nice and neat on the inside. And then I simply put that inside of this bag. Now once I have that in there, then I can fold down. This is what I want to get to, so we can get our handle. Because most people can line a simple bag. There's no pockets, there's nothing. These are nice little easy summer bags. We'll do more when we get to the fall and winter and doing our cables. You can do more. But now you have a place where you can catch the lining or the tulle lining, whatever, underneath it. I'm just pretending now. I'm just going to stick this in here just for show. So if I had this tulle lining in the bag, okay, I want to bring it up high enough so that when I fold the edge down, and I can feel that seam, I can feel right there, just fold it down enough so that you could capture the little tulle or netting. And then of course I like to go ahead and actually do it just like if I was going to sew. I'd put some straight pins. So I just take some straight pins and go around and pin it in place. Leave enough room, let me move it up a little bit. Leave enough room so that we're going to catch it with our yarn needle. You can either use a yarn needle and yarn. If that's too hard for you to do all this sewing, then you can use a regular needle and regular thread. And just take little tiny stitches all the way around after you've made. I'd pin it so it wouldn't move. And go all the way around. So when you're done, you have a really pretty bag. And the lining is caught in the fold over at the top. Does that make sense? Now, the next thing is, let's put some handles on. Let's pick some handles, and then I'll show you some others in just a minute. All right, be right back. Okay, so now we've made it up to the handles, and at the end we'll do a quick checklist to make sure everything's done. But we've got the bag together, we have the lining in, there might be some little touch-up work at the end, but now we need to go ahead and get our handles. We've got the top folded over and the lining is in and everything is in place. Now to get this handle, and I'm going to use this handle because it's a very inexpensive and very useful little quick handle to put on when you can't find anything else, or if you're in a tight place and you need a quick little bag and a handle. All right, these are little bamboos you can get online anywhere or at the stores, Michael's, Joann's, whatever. All right, so the first thing I want you to do, okay, the top of the bag is ready. I take a piece of masking tape, put that over the handle so that I can kind of judge and see if it's in the right place, because you can't really pin it in place. Then I can check the sides and see how it looks, and if that's good, we'll just do one at a time. Don't try to do them both, just do one at a time. So I put masking tape, you can see that. Now I'm going to take a yarn needle with the right, now of course doing the bag you use the right appropriate yarn. I'm going to use some contrasting yarn just so you can see what I'm doing. So I have my yarn needle ready, and I just simply have some contrasting yarn. Now I'm just going to simply, once I have it taped in place, I'm going to baste. We're going to do a kind of a very loose base to hold this, and then we'll go back with the original yarn, the right yarn, and then you will just keep wrapping the handle. So I'm going to start up here at the corner. I'm going to come in from this back side. See, because it's already folded over. Everything is done real neat on each. See, I've just got some pins, but you've done everything. So, and it's the handle's not slipping. You try to do it without this tape. This handle's going to slip every time you pick it up or touch it. So this way I can come in from the back side of the handle, pull in, okay, leave a little tail so that we can weave in on the back side. We don't have to take anything out because you're going to be using the original yarn. Okay, now all I'm going to do is do a whip stitch. I'm going to keep it real close to the handle. Make sure you're not coming way out. You keep it really close to the handle because the handle's in place. It's held in place with tape, so it's not going to slip and slide. Go up under the handle to come out, but do not go all the way to back through the back. Do not come out this side. Do not go through and come out. Okay, you just simply, handles taped in place. I pick up, all I want to do is a nice little easy little whip stitch. I don't need to pick up a whole lot because this is not what's going to hold it. This is just holding it just for a second or two. And I just go around the handle like this. Let's see, now I may have to turn the bag a little bit. I'm kind of in an awkward position. So you don't need to pick up much up under the handle. You just want to like baste it in place. See how I'm taking these big. Now I can just skip over the tape. Make sure it's laying flat. The tape is holding it. So you're not trying to hold that handle and sew and do all of that. See, I just took a big jump right over that tape. All I want to do, now be careful, stay close to the handle on this side and this side as we do a little basting running stitch or whip stitch. I guess this is a whip stitch. All the way up. Now when you whip up to the, like on this corner, whip all the way up, then go back through and come out on the actual wrong side. And I'm going to show it to you. It's hard trying to move your hand and talk and get on camera. Okay, so I start on this side, but you don't see any of the other stitches. I come through, I start whipping because the tape is holding the handle in place. I do a big whip stitch. This will be weaved in. Now I stop. I take the yarn, the needle off the yarn. Now I go back. Now I'm ready to actually get a longer piece, the right yarn. Now I'm just using the contrast just for show, but the right yarn. Okay, now I'm going to switch real quick because I don't like talking. I don't demonstrate in the air. I like you to see. Okay. Sorry, I hit the camera. I'm trying to get all this done. It's hot. This is a Saturday afternoon, and whew. All right, there we go. So now I've got the base stitch in. I can take that piece of tape, just maneuver the tape, take it off. My handle is set, it's basted in. Now I can go back up. I'm going to turn it a little bit so I can sew on it. All right, so I'm going to go back with the needle, and I won't do it, I'm going to just pretend. Now I have a long piece. You can either double it or have it single, but now you're going to start again from coming in from the back side because you're using the right yarn and it's going to match. And we can weave that in. You come in from the wrong side just like we started, but now, okay, and you pull it up and then you go back under. You're just whip stitching, but this time you're doing it real close, and you may have to do it twice to cover these bamboo handles. So you go up under, come up, bring the yarn up, and pull the needle, and then go up under again, and keeping it real close. And you're going to do that same whip stitch, but this time instead of a base stitch where it's really wide, you're trying to just fill it up. And you're going to have to load up more than once, or either try to use your yarn double. If you want to try to use your yarn double, you can do that if you have the strength in your hands to pull all that yarn through and to line it up. Sometimes my hand got tired. So, but you would start working, whip, going, keep it close to the handle. Try not to go way out, and you never go all the way through the back once you start. You start at the coming through from the back, and then you just whip through the lining and this first layer, and you just keep going, and you whip stitch all the way. And if you feel like it's not covered well, because these bamboos have these little rings here, have these little join things, and if you feel like, okay, I need to go again, then you just go again. How easy is that? Then, of course, when you get ready and you're happy with that one, you start again. Piece of masking tape. Put your handle, line them up. See, now you got one handle, so you can make sure you line the top of your purse up, and then you can line the handles up. Put your piece of masking tape, just like I did on the first one. Baste the right color yarn. You baste it in nice and loose. Skip over the masking tape, baste in. Alright, and then you go back with the original color again, this time stronger, heavier. And that's how you do it. And that's how you come out with pretty handles, a bag. Then on the inside, anything that's over here, you can just kind of, if there's two strands, you can knot them. And then, of course, just like we do on a sweater or anything else, you can run it up and down these lines of, you can just take your needle and weave it into these lines of stockinette stitch. So you can just weave it just like you'd normally weave in anything. Just weave those in. Come over here if there's two strands from putting it in, tie a nice knot, and then just weave all the ends in. And if you have a label or something you want to put, I don't know, you can do that. If you want to snap, you can now do a snap, so you know where the snap will go. Because I'd rather have my handle on, then I can kind of figure out where to snap. But these little bags are so lightweight, you really don't have to have a snap. You're not going to carry anything more than just something really simple. Your keys, a little money, your phone, maybe a little comb or a little brush or something. You know, real easy. Oh, your lipstick. Okay, all right, I want to get that on the tape, get it done, so that everything is, so I don't keep it too long. But hold on, and I'll just kind of give you just a little hint of some others, just real quick. All right, my friends, just in closing, I just wanted to, I always like to try to give you some little tips or something else, or just to help to keep your creativity going. Say, as I said before, if you have a lot of swatches left from maybe some of my other stitch tutorials back in the day, or just some of the ones from the charts, or just some stitches you've practiced, and you have a size that's large enough that you can make a circle. Whether it's a 16-inch needle or 24 or whatever it is. All right, or this particular little bag, my little sample here. And of course, when you get done, this large handle is not going to fit this little bag. It's just too large. Okay, you can always try some bangles. If you have some bangles, whether you bought them from TJ Maxx, Target, wherever. Maybe you ordered. I ordered a whole bag from Amazon one time. But if you have these little bangles, these will make great little purse handles for your small purses, for your small. So, of course, this one's not finished. But, if I was at the top of the purse, then I'd do the exact same thing. I'd finish the purse up, take some masking tape, tape the little bangle down in the position that I want it, whatever, right there, okay? And then I do, kind of baste it in place, and then go back with the original yarn and make sure that I, did a whip stitch around part of the bangle. Make sure that you can still get your arm in there. Don't put it down too low and you can't get your arm in. So this one will go more towards the top. Let's see if I can, this is not the right purse, but I'm just trying to share with you. This one would go more towards the top edge of a small purse, where you just want, because you got to get your arm in there. Or if it's for a little gift for a child, maybe your grandbaby might want one, or somebody at school or something, that their hands would go through with no problem. So think of that. I just want to give you some tips. I just want to share with you anything to help you use up things that you've already made. And hey, great job you've done. I thank you so much. I hope you're getting a lot out of Summer School for Stitching. I'm like I said, we're in July, about the middle now. All right, but I'm going to continue on. I have some new things coming up, so I want you to stay with me. Take pictures as you knit or as you make. Send them to me, and I will be able to put them in a beautiful video for this beautiful bellflower stitch. So, this is Jay. This is Jay's Summer School for Stitching. I'm telling you, I'm still rolling. Thank you for joining me, and look, just happy knitting. Happy knitting to everyone, everywhere. All right, I'm on to the next video. Get done with this one. Like I said, look for some older stitches, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.